Welcome back. I'm the Fantasy Football Strategist, your news hub for breaking NFL news and the dynasty and redraft implications of said news. So, breaking news. Tyreek Hill wants a new contract. He's already one of the highest paid wide receivers on an annual basis. Do we think that he deserves the new contract? Well, let's look into the stats and let's come to a conclusion here. So, in an NFL.com article written by Coral Smith, Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill excited to see where I fit into the new wide receiver market as he starts looking for next deal. This offseason has brought with it a new wave of wide receiver contracts, resetting the top of the market for the position. Hoping to ride that wave is Dolphins wideout Tyreek Hill, who said Monday that with the time coming for him to start thinking about his own next deal, he's intrigued to see what this new pay standard means for him. I'm very excited to just be part of the old wave, which was $30 million, and Justin Jefferson came and surpassed that, man, Hill said via clicktohouston.com. So, very proud of those guys, happy for obviously my teammate, Waddle, getting his new deal. For guys like me, that's great. I'm 30 years old, also looking for a new deal. So, very, very excited to see where I fit into that category. It's amazing. So Tyreek does understand that he's on the older side of being a wide receiver, and obviously he's trying to cash out. I mean, as he should. Anyone should. We should always strive to earn more money. And so absolutely it makes sense for him to want to earn more money. He's on the older side. He's 30 years old, so he's just looking out for his own best interests here. The article continues. When Hill signed his current 4-year, $120 million extension with the Dolphins after arriving via trade from the Chiefs, his $30 million a year average was at the top of the rankings for the position. But just in the past 3 months, 3 players have surpassed that average per over the cap, including Vikings Jefferson, who set the new high mark with his $35 million per year average. Hill's teammate Waddle also signed a 3-year, $84.75 million extension that's just below his average. Hill, however, is set to earn $19.665 million in 2024, the last year with guaranteed money, indicating that the time might be now to work on an extension to put his compensation more in line with the current standards for a player of his caliber. So we obviously know that he's an elite wide receiver, and he deserves to be paid like one. So looking at the highest paid wide receivers, Justin Jefferson ranks first, then A.J. Brown, ASRB, Tyreek Hill is fourth, followed by his teammate Waddle, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, and DK Metcalf. So out of all these players, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, ASRB, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Nico Collins are freshly paid wide receivers. They just received new contracts this offseason. So he is already among the highest paid wide receivers. He's obviously, as I said earlier, he's 30 years old, so he's approaching the tail end of his career, and he's really shown absolutely no signs of declining. I mean, what about his past season speaks to any sort of decline here? So he does have that going for him. Now, getting into the fantasy aspect of things, as well as looking into his counting stats, let's look at what he's done since he's arrived in Miami. So 2 years ago he arrived, he had 170 targets with 119 catches for 1,710 yards and 7 touchdowns. An absolutely elite season, really. And it shows in fantasy as he finished as the wide receiver 2. Then this past year he followed that up with 171 targets for 119 receptions once again, but for 1,799 yards and 13 touchdowns. He increased his yards per reception as well, so honestly, he performed better in his second year, so there's obviously no signs of him declining, so there's no argument in terms of that, so he has a very good case for him to begin with right here. Let's look into some advanced stats to further delve into how good he truly is at age 30. He finished second in the NFL with 119 receptions. He finished first with 1,799 receiving yards. He finished fourth in yards after catch with 652. He finished second in touchdowns with 13. And he finished second in fantasy points per game with 23.5. Further delving into his efficiency, he finished first in yards per route run with 3.88. He finished first in formation adjusted yards per route run with 3.55. He finished 7th in yards per target with 10.5. And he finished first in team yards per pass attempt with 3.33. Now let's take a look at his win rates. He finished third in total route wins with 294. He finished first in total win rate with 65.9%. And with a 44.9% win rate versus man, that was good for 15th in the NFL. He's an elite at nearly every stat there is as a wide receiver. So these stats are certainly backing up his argument. So looking at his targets per game since he joined the Miami Dolphins, because before he was with the Chiefs and he was kind of a co-number one with Travis Kelce, but he is the certified number one in this offense. In his first year, he had 10 targets per game, and then he steps up to 10.69 this past year, so increasing. Then when we look at 2023 targets per game leaders, he was number 2 in the entire league, only behind Keenan Allen and above players such as CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, ASRB, Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Michael Pittman, Stephon Diggs, and Puka Nacua. So he's an elite target earner, and once again, targets are earned. They are not given. If you are not a good player, it's very, very unlikely you're going to earn these sorts of targets. So to further delve into things and to really be able to assess as to whether we think he deserves a new contract, do we think that he's going to be a wide receiver one based on his targets per route run rate? So if you recall from previous videos, to be a wide receiver one, you really need to have a plus 20% targets per route run rate. And, well, we don't really have to worry about that with Tyreek Hill. If you look, at least through week 16 of this past year, he was the leader with 34.72 targets per route run. If you look at the stats this past year at least, Tyreek Hill was the leader through week 16 with 34.72% targets per route run rate. Man, that is an absurd level. If you look, Devontae Adams, the next closest player, wasn't even at 30. That shows how darn good Tyreek Hill is. And it's not as if they didn't have another option. They had Jalen Waddle there, who is a fantastic receiver in his own right. So he's also leading players like Stephon Diggs, ASRB, Keenan Allen, his teammate Jalen Waddle, who was also way up there, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Michael Pittman Jr. All of these guys are really, really good players. And for him to be that much better than the rest of the competition, oh my gosh, that he's that talented. And finally, the verdict. Yes, Tyreek Hill deserves a new contract. Look at his fantasy finishes. Look at his advanced stats. Look at his per route metrics. They are all not only great, not only elite, they are elite of the elite. This guy deservedly could be called the best wide receiver in the NFL. Really, he and CeeDee Lamb are neck and neck in redraft for the top receiver spot this year, and you can't go wrong with either, and I would not blame you if you said one was better than the other for this year. In terms of dynasty, obviously you'd rather have CeeDee Lamb because Hill's 30 years old, but make no mistake, even in dynasty, Tyreek Hill is a fantastic asset to own, and if you're trying to contend, there's not really a much better option for you at receiver. He is as elite as it gets in nearly every metric there is. He is a speed demon, and it doesn't matter if you have a cushion on him. If you try to press him, that's a terrible idea because then he'll just get behind you and you do not have the makeup speed to catch up with him. He's unguardable. And Mike McDaniel loves to use the motion to give him a running head start. Good luck after that. It's a wrap. He's going to throw up that peace sign, and you tried. So, what do you think? Do you think he deserves to be the highest paid wide receiver? Do you not? Let me know in the comment section. And why? I personally think he does. I think I've laid out a pretty decent case for it anyways. And with that being said, I'm the Fantasy Football Strategist, your news hub for breaking NFL news and the redraft and dynasty implications behind said news. Please remember to like and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. And y'all have a fantastic day.